What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and I'm back with some more Age of Mythology. The Titans action. Spawning in the red color. Playing as Zeus. His name is Eric. His opponent today in the blue color playing as Loki. His name is Brickhead. The map is Calm Shores. And we do see ourselves a Loki versus Zeus matchup here. Ladies and gentlemen, a clash on Calm Shores. It's not going to be very calm for very long, I'm sure, here. As that Katoskopos scouting around trying to find where the Ulfsark is. Brickhead manages to avoid all suspicions here. Throwing that dock down in the place exactly he needs it. The thing about this map that I think people haven't quite worked out is if you want to put a safe dock down first, you put it up in the very corner of the map. If you send the from your hometown center's top corner, or bottom corner, wherever it is, you send it over to the corner of the map, and that's where the water finishes up. And you can easily get that safe dock up in that very corner of the map without any harass. Which might be a good option against some of those cheesy plays that I think a lot of players have been doing, at least in Champions League. You can play around that cheese a little bit, and any time a player does decide to send their villagers forward to harass you, obviously that's a bad thing if they don't get any value from it. So you can play around that pretty nicely, as we are seeing Brickhead here is getting out his fishing ships, he's getting his house down. We'll see how good his build order is going to be. The hardest part about playing Norse or Mortar maps, and I'll say it a million times, is the early game. If you do not have a clean early game with Norse, you're playing against a different civilization, and those players have a clean early game. Pretty much. With the exception of maybe Egyptian players. For some reason, Egyptian players tend to not realize how to play Egyptian early game very well. Don't ask me why. I don't get it. Some do. But if you're playing against a Greek player, you can guarantee the Greek player, he knows what he's doing. As you can already see, Eric, it's very simple for Greek. 4 villagers on food, 7 villagers on wood, put everyone else on food, advance is the build here for Zeus that's going to work out the best way for you. It allows you to get yourself your 12 fishing ships, your double docks, and your 445 advance time with Zeus, or at the very least a 5-minute advance time if things go a little bit wrong. Whereas Norse, on the other hand, well, what do? At the start of the game, you've got so many decisions to make. Do you build gatherers? Do you build dwarves? When do you build dwarves? Do I build extra dwarves? Do I not? All these questions you've got to answer yourself. We do see that Brickhead is sharing his hunt nicely, which I do like to see. His second Ulfsark is out, throwing a house down. He'll be throwing a temple up as well, as the dock coming up over on this position here. As the game continues to motor along, temple is up as well for Eric. And we'll see exactly how it all is going to be shaping up. Because Brickhead, he's got the resources to advance, but he's forgotten that temple. Well, not necessarily forgotten the temple, but he hasn't gotten the temple yet. If he had it right now, this would be a fantastic build. But it's just a little bit late, and he's going to have to advance a little bit late as well. As the scaling over here for Brickhead, searching around, see exactly what's going on. Eric is showing that the docks are up. And Eric, at this point, his temple will finish. The villager will finish. He will be able to advance here if he decided to garrison those fishing ships, garrison his food villages. He would have been able to get up. And you can see, while Eric is playing it just a little bit safer here, going one villager later, you can see that he could have advanced and he could have gotten all of his fishing ships out while he advanced as well. So he could have had 12 fish, 445, and be ready to go. But he goes for the 505 instead, or 5 minute. 5 minute and 2 second. 5 minute, 1 second? I don't know. I can't remember. He goes for the 5 minute advance time instead. As another dock coming up for Brickhead on this position. Fishing ship's still coming out over here. Brickhead needs to send that Ulfsark up to the top side to put a dock here as well. And then the fighting will commence here. The big question is, can Loki even defend against Zeus on this map? This is going to be the big question that Brickhead is going to need to answer here. And we'll see how it's going to go. As after all is said and done, I really like this. We've seen no Katoskopos harass. The build has gone basically exactly how both players had wanted. So in terms of whatever they had practiced for on this map for this game, they're going to be very aware of what they can do and what's going to be coming for them. So they should be... I'd be surprised if this game finishes very, very quickly here. I'd be surprised. But we'll have to wait and see. The one thing here that Eric has gotten over Brickhead, which maybe is a little bit unfortunate for Brickhead, is he hasn't managed to get these fish here for himself, as Eric got the dock up in the middle of the map there. But Eric is still only just gone for those 12 trireme. As we're now starting to see the trireme coming up, a military academy coming up for Eric as well. As the trireme going to start getting a little bit of damage done, but a longboat on the way already here for Brickhead. Brickhead has arguably too many villagers on the gold at this point, but he might be simply just going for a fast heroic here of some variety. He's still eating the hunt. He's got all these herdables over here that he can pull off with as well if he wants to. He just builds the one longboat, and Eric retreats all the way back. Eric is still building triremes out here. We'll see how this is going to go, as Brickhead has got nothing left. Do we see any armories up? I don't see any armories. He does get some longboats out on the top side or the bottom side of the map. I think that's a big mistake here from Brickhead, as the longboat retreating back here. He doesn't have anyone into the dock at the moment. Has Brickhead making a pretty poor decision here, if you ask me, with the longboat decision making, going after the bottom side when he definitely saw the trireme coming out at him. So we do see the hoplites coming through as well, as Brickhead has already got units coming through to stop this, but the Hersa are out here for Brickhead. The fishing ships have been pushed back, and those trireme will need to retreat away. One thing that Brickhead will have going for him fairly quickly here in this game is going to be Hall of Thanes, and he's going to be able to start putting pressure onto the mainland. And with Loki, a lot of you guys know, but Loki's Hersa, they're villagers. Let's be honest, every Hersa that Loki has is a villager, because he gets favor for them for free, and he gets myth units out of them. So even losing all of these fishing ships, all he has to do is continue to fight with those Hersa, and he technically can get himself a significant amount of assistance there. As we see all these longboats just sitting on this point. Imagine if he had 5 longboats over here. I'm so confused. Brickhead's got to be kicking himself here, as we see the Hersa moving down to the bottom side of the map. And Brickhead now, basically he needs to win the bottom side here. There's already 3 trireme out here as well, as the Hersa are going to be pushing through. Does Eric know that there's a ton of trireme or not? I mean, he's already garrisoned the fishing ship, so he must know to some degree here. As the trireme are pushing out, they're going to be taking out those Hersa pretty quick, as Brickhead not paying attention. We do see the longboats coming forward now to take this fight. 5 trireme versus 6 longboats. That is advantage longboat, because they have the extra damage, but there is the advantage of the trireme having the range if they can be outside of that. And there is also a dock here causing a lot of problems. So you do see 2 trireme have fallen. There's now 4 versus 4 still sitting underneath this dock, but the dock is still getting taken out. Brickhead, he needs to be building longboats out here, and he is starting to do so. As we see, the fishing ships are already through for Eric. Eric's going to be able to finish off that. We are seeing the army now moving across here, the push back, and now Brickhead, he's basically pushed off of the water, getting himself the Hall of Thanes here. In terms of food, this map, it doesn't really have food. It's got the deer in the main base, it's got berries, and it's got some herdables. So it's a very, very low amount of food on this map, as the trireme starting to push through here as well. We do see Brickhead sniping a couple of those trireme as well, as Brickhead going to be retreating back. The fishing ship's going to be garrisoning into the dock as well. And we do see a sneaky Brickhead Skraeling getting sniped here. No sneaky dock for today, as the dock's also getting taken out over here, as Eric is playing this one incredibly well thus far with those hoplites, as Brickhead needs to retreat back. He cannot go mass Hersa here and expect it to work against the mass mass hoplites of Brickhead. Hoplites beat Hersa. Hersa got 20% hack armor, 156 HP. Hoplites got 34% hack armor, cost 2 population, and 115 HP. So they are essentially doing a very similar amount of damage versus HP to each other, but the hoplites cost less resources and only have 2 population. So we do see some military academy archery range coming down here for Eric as well in his main base. And we'll see that Brickhead effectively here has to go up on water And what can Eric do as well? And he is, I love this. Is Eric is playing this map better than the majority of Champions League players have played this map. Why? Because he's actually fished out both portions of the sea. He's also sending a villager up here to drop the dock down so that his fishing ships can be efficient. I imagine he's doing the same on the other side of the map as well. He's going to have himself, 12 plus 12, 24 fishing ships if he wants. Not grabbing this position just yet, but he can just stop at 18 as well. It's completely fine. Purse scene coming through, and he needs to make a decision moving forward as to what sort of a follow-up he wants to do. But Brickhead here, he's got himself the food, he's got himself the gold. He should be able to go to the heroic age here. He's throwing up a longhouse, he's got the armory here. One more dwarf, and I imagine the heroic age is going to be coming through. So the hardest part here for Eric is simply going to be, can he defend a second gold mine against the flaming weapons attack? Because Brickhead has lost all population here. The hoplites are moving across the map. They are spied on this position. So Brickhead here, he might find himself in a bit of a difficult position if he gets town center rushed yet again. And there is still restoration, right? There is still restoration. And those hoplites here out for blood. Eric's got 115 population here. He can grab a second town center as well on this position to get himself this gold mine. That could be another way to go forward. I wouldn't mind seeing like a bunch more military barracks coming down for Eric here as well, as we are seeing the same thing happening the same thing happening for Brickhead with the longhouses. Second temple coming up as well as the hoplites are starting to move forward here. That tower, no defenses on it, and Eric takes full advantage of that one there. There's Brickhead going to be kicking himself ever so slightly to be allowing that to happen as the Hearser come through. Medium infantry on the way here for Eric. Brickhead pulls back. He needs to get himself those Hearser out. He's trying. He's getting a lot of throwing axemen out to deal with the hoplites, but throwing axemen, while they do give a favor, they're not giving those juicy myth unit spawns. So Eric now pulling back home. He's got himself 400 food in the bank, 100 gold there as well as the longhouse coming down onto this position. I love that as Brickhead's already ready to take that look there. As we see a gold mine coming up on this position as well. Brickhead basically has to click the button at this point. Is he going to? He's not going for it just yet. And it looks like Eric, he's going to be able to win this fight without flaming weapons being dropped here. If Brickhead wants to continue here without clicking the flaming weapons, it's going to be in a very, very difficult position. As more hoplites streaming through, we do see the bolts onto the battle ball. Valkyrie spawn, though, for Brickhead is going to help out a ton as we finally see the flaming weapons coming through here. As Eric does retreat away, the Hearser are going to be able to storm onto this gold mine. Over on this gold mine, I've already got the throw-in axeman on this one. Eric is technically... well, he should be gold starved here, but Brickhead not taking a look at this gold mine just yet. He doesn't realize that there's villagers over there as a ton of villagers are marching through as the army of Brickhead is still going after the hoplites, the Toxotes. Now we see the army turning around. He needs to hit this gold mine. He needs to go there yesterday as the army sitting idly by with 25 seconds left of flaming weapons. He's still pushing past the military academy and archery range on this position. Brickhead's got to be thinking, how are the units still piling out? There's no villagers on this. Well, there are villagers over here. The villagers here are kind of faking Brickhead out ever so slightly as the throw and axemen are going to be able to take all of those ones out. And the units here, back up to 115 population for Eric. He's got himself Olympic parentage. He's still on this gold mine. He's even sent villagers forward here as well. And Brickhead, while he's done some damage, he's on 40 villages. He is still 18 fishing ships behind after all is said and done. He is up onto the heroic age. He has that advantage going for himself, but no gold staff coming. And Brickhead now moving around onto this position, going after the house. This is looking much, much better for Eric now. He's getting himself that Apollo out. And we'll see what Brickhead can do as Brickhead is on the berries. He can get these berries over here as well. We're seeing hoplite raids now coming through to check out the back gold mine of Brickhead here as the army pushing in, taking out the temple. That's going to stop any sort of Apollo manticores or anything coming through. It's now the army coming in. We do see the units are in for Eric to take this fight here. And Eric here, he's got to decide. Well, he has to make sure he's refocused firing that town center. The problem here, targeting down the Valkyrie, it's got 55% pierce armor, so it stays alive for quite some time. Brickhead does decide to retreat back as his villagers retreating into his home base. The watchtower now getting targeted down as the dwarves going to come back and start pulling out their tiny knives here to try and take out the hoplites. So you do see a town center now coming up for Brickhead after all is said and done. The villagers here have to retreat back. He's got a gold mine over on this position. Brickhead, he knows that there's a gold mine there, right? He does. But he's just refusing to send units there. Just send some Hursar up there. Like, imagine sending these 5 Hursar up there. What's Eric going to do? He has to defend that, and then how does he defend the main base? Not really easy against any sort of battle ball that are coming in, but the town center is up now for Brickhead on this position. He will be able to get this gold mine for himself here as the dwarves coming back over here. A handful of units in to defend on this position with the throw and axeman there. It's going to be too scary with the battle ball as well. We see a marker coming up here for Eric as Eric says, I'm just going to go straight to the Mythic Age, get myself Lightning Storm, call it a day. There is still Underworld here as well for Eric, or he's just gotten it, so he can move in on this position, Underworld, and he does indeed decide to do that as the army of Brickhead needs to decide what to do. Going after this town center would be very, very big here as the dwarves pulling back into the main base. He can send, and he does indeed send the villagers up to a different gold mine as the army here can go after this town center, but the units will be pulling back in very quickly once the battle balls have been seen. We see another battle ball spawn. That's going to be a very, very big help. Brickhead, he's got that feeling coming that the Mythic Age is on the way here. He has to know he's really far behind in terms of resources here. So Hera on the way, he's got that feeling, but can he do enough here to take this position out or not? As the dwarves moving all the way up onto this position, we do see the military academy getting taken out of town center, now coming down for Eric as well. As the battle ball searching around, we'll be seeing the tower getting taken down on this position. Brickhead sneaking around with his units as he retreats back here. What can he make happen with these units? Can he stop the town center? Yet again, he is refusing to walk through this way. Compared to last game where he was just sending raids for the entirety of that game onto gold mines, onto hunt, onto wood lines everywhere, this game feels like a completely different Brickhead in terms of that kind of almost necessity or ferocity on the raids as he's pulling all the way back here to push these units away from the town center. We see another temple coming up for Brickhead to try and get himself some more battle ball out, but Hera coming means Medusa are here as well as a lightning storm as the hoplites starting to take out the town center. But as the army comes through, Eric says no worries, just going to pull back as the gold mine over here still getting targeted down, and Eric getting the damage done that he needs to. As Hera comes in, the army needs to retreat back into that town center, but Brickhead, he doesn't want to look at it as he taps out here. Wow. What? This is the second time I've seen this. This is the second time I've seen this in this tournament thus far, where one player wins both sides of the water. The other player hits a really, really strong Heroic Age timing, but just refuses to check all the other gold mines. And the fact of the matter was here that Eric was basically 0 gold. He had no way to get to the Heroic Age. His army was not going to be able to beat Brickhead's army at that stage in the game. He still had restoration, but it just wasn't going to win that army at that battle boards coming, all the other good stuff coming. Eric just wasn't going to win a fight there. And Brickhead, simply put, just needed to walk his army over here, kill these villagers off. If he kills off all these villagers, he's equal in villager count, and he can play an equal game from there if this gold mine gets taken back. But he's definitely killing all these villagers off, especially if he's got this pathway coming. And then, equal game continues along. Brickhead not going to lose to this lightning storm and maybe even win this game. But instead, Eric manages to steal the win from the jaws of defeat. Never give up, never surrender. If you guys enjoyed this game, please consider hitting the follow on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTube, hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you guys in the next game.